Morning, Trent. Great to have you on here. Could we share with everybody? We've had some great news, and I think we've got some really exciting things to tell everybody. Could you tell us a little bit about the budget and schedule that was announced yesterday?
Sure. Yeah. So thank you. We had our funding completed towards the end of 2025, and we've been putting out updates on work that's going on. So in anticipation of the closing, we've had crews at site getting ready for what we call the full mobilization. So picture crews of a dozen, 2 dozen people um, doing smaller jobs. We're in the process now of we're just about to award the big tender, the big contracts SMPEI, as we call it. So that's mechanical, electrical, instrumentation, piping. And so it was time for us to update the market with a schedule. And so that's what came out. We got a schedule, we got a budget. We raised 82 million US towards the end of last year, government and the private sector. And we've got a $73 million budget that'll get us to mechanical completion. And so what we brought out there is step by step over the next 12, 14 months, how we're going to get there. So it's exciting. We've got some more announcements and more granularity to get into, but I think it was important for us at this point to give the market a view quarter by quarter, what we're doing and how we're going to get this plan across the line.
We got the schedule out. It includes some early commissioning work, even the end of this year, and then we'll be working quite a bit, obviously, through from that position at the end of the year into 27 to ramp up to commercial production. How confident are we in this schedule now that we've got it out in the market? I know there's always a bit of a question as to what about weather, what about delays? How do we feel about that?
Yeah, a few people asked me over the last few days here at the BMO conference exactly that. What does the schedule look like? You're sounds like you're commissioning before you're finishing mechanical completion, and that's right. If you look at an image of our site, and if you follow our story, you'll know ours is a brownfield, and so effectively it was half built. It's hard to estimate, but where are we today compared to a greenfield asset? We're probably north of 80% done. And I think that's what gets lost here in the narrative is that it's a brownfield site. We've got our water pipeline, we've got our tailings, we've got our power lines. There's no infrastructure. The buildings are there, both the old and the new that we built in 22, 23. All the long lead equipment is there. And so what we are doing is mobilizing a large crew, 100 plus people, and they're going to be connecting all the tanks and all the pumps and running all of the systems to make this, take it from what it was, a cobalt nickel carbonate plant that ran on a small scale to a large scale, modern cobalt sulfate plant. So a lot of crews, a lot of sort of discrete, almost time material or unit type jobs. So I feel pretty good because we're not reliant on third party suppliers. We're not reliant on supply chains, and all of the big expensive parts are already there at site.
Sounds like you've done a lot of work to de-risk this part of the construction project, which is really a wonderful thing to have out of the way. In terms of de-risking projects and getting these projects into market, what are your thoughts around the overall space that we're operating in here in North America and the battery materials production landscape?
It's been an interesting period. Every day, right? We're hearing about critical minerals in the news, and Electra. We're a small and mighty. We're in the middle of that, right? We saw today an announcement of Glencore putting cobalt into a stockpile in the U.S. under Project Vault. Um, I spend as much time engaging with government officials, um, especially the U.S., but governments across the Western world, as I do with our shareholders. Um, and to underscore that, right, 48 of the 82 million we raised is government support grants, a lot of it grants, some of it low interest loans. So the strategic nature is makes it exciting, but we still got a responsibility, right? We got a business to run, we got to execute, we got to stay focused on what we've got. And I think that's a testament perhaps to the team here and credit to the team. Years back, there were dozens, if not hundreds, of critical minerals companies, and we will be the first. Right, many of them have gone bankrupt and or are stalled. This is going to be the first hydrometallurgical plant of its kind on the continent, and it's exciting. We will get there, and I got to thank the team for getting us to this point.
Pretty exciting stuff, and very important that we're engaging on such a day-to-day basis with the government teams. In terms of the project itself, as we look towards the construction completion and revenue generation and cash flow, what do you see as the path forward?
Yeah, it's that there's no sort of one day, there's no day zero, right, where construction stops and production starts. Um, this is like we were talking about commissioning units of our plant later this year while construction goes on. Right? We're talking about a timeline, and we've got it sort of quarter by quarter, right? Commercial production and ramp up. So think of it as units will start to get completed as we move through later in the year. We'll start our cold and our hot commissioning. We'll start running product through kind of Q2, Q3. 2023. We may not recognize it as revenue, but we're going to have hydroxide, cobalt hydroxide coming in from the DRC in Q1 of next year. And that product will make its way through. You got your ramp ups. You want to make sure you hit commercial spec. And by the end of the year, we expect to be running at a throughput rate of 5,120 tons of cobalt per year. And then we do the next step, which is to expand even further to 6,500 tons. And so, next year we'll have revenue, and the year after we'll have more, and the year after that we'll have even more. And with that, you get a platform upon which you can do more. But I'm going to stop there. I don't want to talk about the future. I want to focus on the now. But we'll get this built, and the shareholders then can expect a more regular cadence of updates and more specificity as we award all of the final contracts.
Sounds pretty exciting. Well, hopefully everyone does stay tuned and listen to what's going on in our future. As I say, I think we're going to have a very busy year ahead of us. We've got a lot to do, and I know the team's very focused on what we're going to get done here today. So I'll let you get back to the conference. And thank you so much for your time this morning and for sharing a little bit of this with our audience.
Thank you, Heather, and everybody. Good day.